And now it's time to take a look at our Senate candidates from various districts in the city of Portland. And we're going to start with Senate District 8 and our candidate, Eric Lusk.
Tom, you clean up nicely. It's good to see you.
Oh, well, thank you. I could say the same for you, but instead I'm going to say that you're a resident of Vesper Street, a neighbor of mine on Munjoy Hill, and we don't hold that against you. But thanks for being here, and thanks for taking the time and effort to run for Senate District 8. Eric is a professional investment advisor and financial manager, and District 8, just so you know, represents Portland and the islands. So, Eric, let's start by you expanding a little bit on your background and telling us why you decided to run for this office.
I have had a number of different occupations. Most of them have been in sales. I have done some sales representation in manufacturing for some international mills. I've worked as a financial analyst for an investment survey, which is where I picked up a taste for crunching numbers and reading fine print. And I have been a financial advisor now for 11 years. My clients range anywhere from institutional type clients to John and Jane Q Public, and then also managing company 401k plans. As a financial advisor, I have three basic jobs. My first job is to protect people from the markets. My second job is to protect them from the tax man. And my third job is to remind them of the first two on a timely basis. It is crunching numbers and protecting people from the tax man, which is an experience that will translate nicely over into being a state legislator on behalf of the people of Portland.
And so how does it lead you into your top priorities, and what are they?
The top priority is to get the income tax receipts to go up. And ordinarily, if you get income tax receipts to go up, it means something has worked more efficiently at the government level. So if we were to take a stab at healthcare, for example, currently, if somebody were to be buying a healthcare policy from Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield here in Maine, as a 44-year-old, which is what I happen to be, it's going to cost $514 a month with a $2,250 deductible. If we then buy the same policy in New Hampshire or any number of the other New England states, it's not going to cost $514, Tom. It's going to cost $277. That works out to about $3,000 a year. And as you put those types of metrics across the 35,000 policies that are extant today in the Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield marketplace, you're looking at least $100 million in additional income tax receipts that would be headed up to Augusta instead of out to Worthington, Ohio. No knock on the folks from Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield, but this is a way that we can get income tax receipts to go up along with sales tax receipts, and the next thing you know, more people can afford to get health care.
When you mentioned tax receipts going up in the state of Maine, an alarm bell went off in my mind, because in Maine in the past 30 years, tax receipts going up generally means spending going up.
There's two ways to get tax receipts to go up. One way is to say that we have a static economic pie and that we're going to have the local or state government get a bigger slice of it. Another way to get the tax receipts to go up is to say we're going to come up with policies that are going to help to grow the pie. And as we add jobs, as we have jobs with higher incomes, next thing you know, sales tax receipts, income tax receipts begin to go up. The things, Tom, that you and I care about in Maine, be it the great environment, be it great schools, or being able to take care of those who are at the dawn of life, the end of life, or somewhere in the shadows for the time being, all of those things require a healthy job environment. And if we make it possible for job growth to take place at a more even rate, then all of a sudden we're in a better position to be able to take care of our environment, our schools, and people who are in need.
Good. I happen to know, changing subject slightly, that one of your pet projects as a political candidate happens to be in the area of energy. Could you tell people how you see using the current energy crisis to benefit the people of the state of Maine?
That is probably going to be if not the biggest question, then the second biggest question Maine is going to have to wrestle with in the next 10 years. As you're probably well aware, 80% of the housing stock of Maine uses #2 heating oil. Also about the same as diesel. It's also the same material as diesel. It becomes more and more expensive as more and more of the planet wants to use it. As the Chinese and the Indian economies come online and they try to catch up with the United States standard of living, heating oil becomes more expensive. So how are we going to get from heating oil over to renewable, alternative energies? How are we going to get our country, how are we going to get the state of Maine to a point where the sting from heating costs or from driving yourself to work isn't going to be so painful? And I'll hear an awful lot of people talking about we're going to insulate people's houses. That's great. That's a very good and important thing that needs to be done. But it is not by itself the silver bullet. People are still going to need electricity to run lights. They are still going to need gasoline to go run their car. So how are we going to fund the bridge from our current use of fossil fuel over to alternative energy? And the simple answer is there is natural gas off the coast of Maine. And whenever a state allows for that natural resource to be tapped into, royalties are kicked off. And there are 3 states we can think of right out of the gate where the state winds up getting royalties. Alaska, obviously, Wyoming, and Louisiana. And what we can do with the royalties that would come off of natural gas drilled off of the coast of Maine is to create a tax credit pool. And the tax credit pool would be there to help fund an individual's purchases of renewable sources of energy or things that are going to reduce their consumption of fossil fuels. So if somebody wants to put a windmill in their backyard, and I know you and Betsy are dying to put solar panels on your roof because you have a nice sunny spot up there on Munjoy Hill, whatever they choose to do, because we want to let the individual pick the course of action that is best for them, they're going to have a tax credit pool available to them to make that purchase take place. It's going to be a state-funded tax credit. We know the federal government is probably going to be coming up with other incentives, but this is how we get the ball rolling in the state of Maine. And we have a very unique opportunity in the shape of wood pellets. Wood pellet furnaces mean that you're not only going to be getting off of fossil fuels, but you're going to be buying a resource that is manufactured, that is generated here in Maine, that keeps those energy dollars in the Maine economy.
Eric, I'd like to give you the opportunity in the 1 minute that we have left to tell the voters watching this show why they should vote for you instead of your opponent.
Very often people are going to come to a voter's door and they are going to make claims that they're going to offer a new service or a new entitlement. And the natural question should be, well, gee, that's a great idea, but how are you going to fund it? And at this point, we seem to be trying to fund the moon, the stars. And we're also seeing people getting forced out of their homes because of high property taxes, because of all of the liabilities the state has assumed for itself and fails to manage intelligently. So there are 3 basic points that sum up my campaign that I think are going to be relevant here. The first one is, it's one thing to work smart, but now we need to start, it's one thing to work hard, now we need to start working smart. Working hard is expected, working smart is what's going to set us apart. The next thing is that the highway to hell is paved with good intentions. And after a while, here in Portland, we all know it is littered with potholes because Portland keeps being deprived of the revenues to be able to fix those potholes before the end of July. And the third thing is, government should not have been run and written by Frank Sinatra. We need to stop having government that is composed of the song My Way.
Eric, thanks very much for being here. You've got some good ideas there, and we appreciate having you here, and good luck in your campaign.
Thanks, Tom.